Hello and welcome to Story Behind the Story. I'm Reese Ryan, author of sexy emotional romantic fiction featuring lots of family drama, surprising secrets, and a cast of complicated, sometimes messy characters. And here on Story Behind the Story is where romance readers and authors connect. And tonight I will be talking to the ladies of Lunchtime Chronicles, and they were requested by viewers. So I am super excited to have them and to chat with them this evening. So, y'all already know this is a super interactive show. So, if you have questions that you want to pose to everyone, by all means, do that. And if you are uh, here for the first time, by all means, I invite you to subscribe so that you will be here or be able to hear about future conversations that I have with authors. And make sure you subscribe and hit the reminder bell, as well as hit the like for the button for the show today to let the ladies know how much you appreciate them being here. So, before we get into the show, I do have a few things I just want to tell y'all about. And one of which is that um, Waking Up Married, the fifth book in my Bourbon Brothers series, won for the Brenda Jackson Romance of the Year for the Reading Warriors Choice Awards. So I was super excited about that because I do love that story. And it was wild, and so I'm really excited that won that award. And I especially love that award too because with with most of the awards, you submit your book to the contest, and in this one you don't, what I'm saying. So it's really the choice of the readers, and that's one of the reasons why I'm always so ecstatic when I win one of the Reading Warrior Choice Awards. So again, I'm excited that Zora and Dallas' story won for the Brenda Jackson Romance of the Year. The other thing is that was book 5 in the series, and book 6 is, of course, I don't have one with me, is Cole's. Finally, we get to Cole's story, and it's the final planned book in the Bourbon Brothers series. So it is up for pre-order. It's released on December the 28th is the official release day. It's up for pre-order, and if you want to get reader swag like King's Finest Distillery coaster, bookmarks, stickers, and access to an online brochure that's like the Bourbon Brothers experience, and it has like behind the scene notes, quotes from the book, and a curated list of recipes and drink recipes that are inspired by each of the books. Then make sure you pre-order your book either at Love Sweet Arrow or the Rip Bodice, and they'll be able to get you those goodies out in the mail. So, and if you already ordered a box, don't worry about it because your box has all of those things and a whole lot more. So if you ordered a Bourbon Brothers Experience box, I got you. You're good. And then the other thing is that I am going to be doing my first live book signing in the first time in like 2 years or whatever. If you're in North Carolina, it's going to be in Wake Forest, North Carolina, on Saturday, December the 11th. So that's all for me on that. I can't wait to get into this conversation with the ladies of Lunchtime Chronicles. So we're going to start it off with Miss Siera London. So welcome to Story Behind the Story, Siera. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for the invitation, Reese. I'm so excited for you. First of all,
Oh,
congratulations on
thank
your
you.
Reader's Choice Award. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
accomplishment. And thanks to your listeners also for wanting us to be on the show. We appreciate that.
Yes, yes. I'm so excited. We have more than one request, but definitely Lisa Marshall is one of the people who wanted to have you on here. So, and we love the viewers. They're so there's such an interactive show, and they have such great questions, and they're so supportive. So, good evening, Terry. Glad to have you here. And hey, Lashira, good to see you.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, Veronica and Jennifer. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
Yes,
We
thank
appreciate you
you.
so
Hi,
much.
Jennifer. Hi,
Yes.
Lashira, Terry. Hi, everybody.
So let's get it started with if someone is not familiar with you, Sierra, tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you write.
Okay. Well, my pen name is Siera London, and I write deliciously satisfying fiction featuring women of color. I have 5 series to date, and I debuted in 2015 with my first book, Chasing Ava. And Lunchtime Chronicles is actually my eighth group project. So
Wow.
a
Wow, that's
lot
awesome.
has happened since 2015.
Yes, my goodness.
Yeah.
I love it. And group projects are so much fun, especially when you get a good group of folks
Yes.
that you have, you know. So it's so nice. And so that's great that you've been able to have all these group projects. And evidently you've had a good experience or you wouldn't keep doing them. So
Yeah.
that's, and of course you probably learn from some of them too. Like you probably have
From all of them.
you know, that's how it goes. You have one, it's like, okay, I like this, I didn't like that. You know, you learn along the way. So definitely
Exactly.
when you're spearheading one yourself, it gives you a lot of background to pull from as to like what works and what doesn't work, things like that. So
Absolutely.
let's get into it. Give us the overall premise of what Lunchtime Chronicles is about for anybody who might not be familiar with the series.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Here comes the deliciousness. Okay. So, Lunchtime Chronicles are short, hot, erotic reads that literally you can start on your lunch break. And by the time you lay your head down on the same night, you are done and in a very good mood. That is lunchtime.
And in a very
Yeah.
good mood. I love it.
Yes, in a very good mood. All the books, they all have a lunchtime theme, and if you notice, they all have food-like titles. And for me, food is very erotic. Like it can be like when you think about a food that you love and it touching your tongue and just melting and your taste buds just coming alive. That's what lunchtime is for a romance reader. I mean, it just hits you in the right spot and all those feel good endorphins are released and you're like, yeah. And that's how we want you to feel when you pick up a lunchtime book and close the cover.
I love it. And you know what I love especially is seeing the joy and enthusiasm on your face and in your voice as you talk about the series. And you know what I'm saying? That always, when I feel like when an author has that kind of joy and enthusiasm
Yeah.
about their story, it translates on the page, and definitely the readers can feel that. So I love that. So tell us a little bit about how you came up with this whole idea of Lunchtime Chronicles and how it came to
Okay.
be.
Okay, so Lunchtime Chronicles actually has its own mascot, and her name is Messy Mandy. I actually have on Mandy's t-shirt. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it says Messy Mandy. So Messy Mandy is a fictitious gossip columnist. And how she came about is I was at home in Jacksonville, Florida, and I see JB on the line, and JB's from Jacksonville. But I was at home with my mom, and she had me watching Wendy Williams, and she was like totally engulfed in all this hot craziness. And I was like, Mama, really? And she's like, Girl, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. And I thought to myself, I was like, what would it be like to have a fictitious gossip columnist that talks about everybody when her stuff is also a hot mess? But
Mm,
and so that's how Messy Mandy was born. And I had just come off a group project with Zyla Turner, Rihanna Mallory, Olivia Gaines. It was called The Lady Guardians. It was a female biker club
yes,
series.
I remember
We
that.
had, yes, we had
Hmm.
just finished that. And so when we came together, I wanted us to keep working together because we had such a good experience.
Yeah.
And so I pitched this idea to them and they was like, let's go for it. So we launched in 2019 at a conference called IRAE, which is Interracial Romance Author Expo in Daytona Beach, Florida. That's when we first launched Lunchtime Chronicles, like the idea to our readership.
Nice.
Hey, Susan.
It feels like it's been longer than 2019, but of course, the last 2 years
Yeah.
are like the longest. recorded years on history ever. So maybe
I'm
that's why I feel
telling
like it.
you. Yes, yes. And
Because it's like the
lunchtime
before
makes it
times,
better.
like 2019, because that's the year I went to RWA too, and that's when me, Joss Wood, and Karen Booth came up with our series together. It was in 2019,
Yes,
but I don't know why I felt like the Lunchtime Chronicles have been going on way longer than that. But y'all
I
have done a lot
know.
in that
Yes,
period of time, and we're
yes.
gonna get to that more too. Because now that you told me it's been 2019, I'm like, wow. So okay, and just to clarify, so it came up. What's the name of the conference again? The interracial.
So, IRAE, and it actually was founded by another interracial romance writer. Her name is Kasana Dwight. And she founded IRAE to really create a place for readers who love interracial romance to come together.
So the Lunchtime Chronicles itself, it is all interracial romance, correct?
It is, it
Okay.
is, it is all interracial romance. And it's really a series designed for the grown and sexy. So most of the heroes and heroines are like 35 and up. So this is
Nice.
where you have heroes that are 50, 55, like
Love
truly
it.
yeah, the grown and sexy,
I'm all about the grown folks romance. You know
Yes.
that this that is exciting to me.
Yeah, that's
So
the
basically,
catnip.
so basically, you were just like, okay, we did this biker thing and it was so cool. I want to do something else. Let me come up with something.
Yes,
It was a combination of
exactly.
that and seeing Wendy Williams with your mom.
Yes, exactly. Because I was like, Mom, I mean, my mom introduced me to the show, and I'm like, this is a hot mess. I mean, she like ripping everybody a new one. How you doing? And I'm like, I like it, but it's a little bit scary too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would not want to be in her view at all. And so I was like, I think that's pretty cool. And we wanted to have a character that united the whole series, that was a central theme. And so Mandy was born. And and it was Zyla who used the term messy. Like, oh my goodness, she's just so messy. Like we were talking about story ideas, and I was like, that's it. Messy Mandy,
Yes.
and we all loved it.
Perfect. So once you decided, okay, this is what we're going to do, what did the process look like in creating it? So, for instance, we have other authors on here as well.
Yeah,
And just like, for instance, I just saw Carol Carson. And
yeah.
so, for any other authors who like, okay, I like, this idea, I would like to get something together like this. What did the process look like for you all to
Yeah.
start this together?
So one of the things that we started with was actually the branding of Lunchtime Chronicles. So if you look at the cover, like they all look like magazine covers.
Yes.
They got the big title, they have a tagline, they're all kind of laid out the same. They have, that hot guy on the cover, not a whole lot of pictures, just something central to focus on. And so that was intentional. But we also tested the market. So this first book, Whipped, this book was actually given away at IRAE. So they had about 100, maybe about 100 readers and maybe about 30, 40 authors at the time. And so we gave this book away to see if this short, hot interracial story would pique readers' interest. And so we showed up at IRAE. We had Messy Mandy shirts on. We had the big lunchtime across our chest. We had on watches, and we gave away like 200 lunch bags filled with little snacks and goodies with the titles of the books that were coming
Oh,
to see
nice.
how it would go.
Very nice.
And you have to do that in today's market. Like, you don't want to invest hours and hours of your time into a concept that really is not selling. Like, you
Right.
want to kind of feel out your market and get a feel for what your readers are interested in and the themes that they're interested in. And so you can see, like, this hero, he got salt and pepper in his hair. So
Mhm.
even visually, that this is a grown and sexy book.
Right.
This isn't your 20 angsty book. So we did a lot of testing, not just with the content on the pages, but even the imagery and what the covers look like. And it was a hit. And so in that IRAE happens in April. And that fall, we came out with 8 books that dropped one book every week.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And I love how you right from the beginning addressed the whole business side of it, because that's the thing. As
Absolutely.
authors, we are not just authors, we are, like you said, a brand.
Mhm.
As individuals, even individual authors, we're a brand and a
That's right.
business, and there's all these different, admin things that need to be done. So the same happens when you come together and do some kind
Yes.
of a group project. So I love
Mhm.
that you were so business minded about it from the very beginning. So
Yes.
that is
Thank
awesome.
you.
So how many authors did you pull into that first one again? Because you said it was 8 books. You said you released, was it 8 of
Yes.
y'all?
So it was four of us. So
Okay.
we each did two books. So it was Rihanna Mallory, Olivia Gaines, Zyla Turner, and myself. And we did 8 books because we wanted to see if we could really dominate for a season. Like, could we stay on the charts and just hit week after week after week and just push IR titles to the top? And we actually ended up breaking out in all of Amazon our first season. So we had an explosive first season, and our readership was hungry for these short, sweet stories. It came about at a time, right before life just went a little bit crazy, and readers was like, yeah, short and sweet is what I need, because we were coming out of a season of really long romance books.
Yeah. Wow. And we just had a comment too. Carolyn said, absolutely, with limited time and attention, short hot reads are perfect. And
Mhm.
I know I find that myself too, because I've been in the last few years so inundated with my own writing
Yes.
deadlines that I found it hard to keep up with reading.
Mhm.
And so then I got to the point where I realized, okay, reading, I reminded myself something I already knew, that reading is essential even for writers. Even if you're writing, no matter how busy you are, you still need to refill that will. And so
Absolutely.
that's when I started to really fall in love with novellas.
Mhm.
And I love those because of what you said. You can start them and get through them quickly, and there's such a feeling of accomplishment, as
Yes.
opposed to a longer book, because I have shorter periods of time in which to read. It might take me forever to be
Yep.
reading, stealing little bits of time to read a longer book. But I love that feeling of accomplishment. Okay, I read this book. Now let me go on to the next one. So that's very smart and
Yes,
perfect for
same
you
here.
starting that.
Yep,
Yeah.
same here, Reese. Same
Yeah.
here.
And Lisa, who
Hey,
is
Lisa.
jumped everything off, is here. So thank you
All
again,
these
Lisa,
ladies
for
are fabulous.
suggesting. And just like y'all see, Lisa suggested that I have the ladies of Lunchtime Chronicles on, and here they are. So if you have somebody you want to suggest, make sure you suggest authors that you would like to see on.
Yes,
I can't
thank
promise
you.
nothing, but I will ask. I
Yes,
will
thank
ask.
you. And she
So
did.
yes, yes. And Kala Lily says, y'all definitely did your thing. Love it. I love it.
Thank
And
you.
hello, Miss Loretta. Thank you for joining us. Yes,
Yes,
that is a good it was an excellent concept. So yep,
thank you.
yep. So okay, so that is fantastic. I love the way you did all this and put it together. So when you did it originally, and you talked about this a little bit, did you think, okay, this is just gonna be a one-off, or did you think that you would be continually, what is it, 35 books in?
Yeah, we're at 36 books. The last book in the series dropped today, and that's Kenya Wright's Passion Fruit. And actually, we thought that we would do a couple of seasons and we would end it. But just like, a reader came to you and said, bring on lunchtime, we had readers in our inboxes saying, when's the next book? When's the next book? When's the next? I'm like, we just gave you 8 books or 10 books. And they was like, keep them coming, keep them coming. But, when you are passionate about romance, and you find, like that series that you love, like you can just eat it every day. It's like your chocolate, your ice cream,
Yeah,
your red Moscato, whatever your drink is. You can have it every day to relax with. And that's what lunchtime is for a lot of women, and oftentimes our stories center around professional women. And I think it's important to have like diversity of characters in romance as well. Like everybody's not the damsel in distress,
right.
you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love it. So you said that they had the overall theme of food, and we saw the titles like Red Moscato and Salt Shaker and all that. So beyond that food, that ongoing food theme, do the individual seasons have themes, or is it just the overall food theme?
Yeah, so so they don't. And this is what I love about it. So each season of Lunchtime is a different combination of authors that are, at the top of their game or up and coming in interracial romance. And I love that this series allows them the freedom to create the type of hot short stories that they want to. And
Mm,
oftentimes, like Posey Parks is an excellent example, that she used Lunchtime Chronicles to showcase some of her secondary characters from other series and link them together. And so that also meets a reader need. As an author, you have your primary series, your longer series, and a project like Lunchtime allows you to give those secondary stories that your readers keep asking you about, like, when is this book coming?
yeah.
Give them a taste too
Yes.
of a happily ever after.
I love that. I love it. I love it. So, speaking of the ladies, let's bring them on.
Mhm.
So we're gonna bring on Loren and Posey Parks.
Hey.
Thank y'all for joining us. So let's start with you, Lisa. Can you, for anybody who might not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you write?
Sure. That's probably most of your audience. So, hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. I am an interracial romance writer, and I branded my writing Love Erotica because they are sexy
I love that.
stories and they are hot stories, but you're always going to have a lesson. And my story is always going to have a woman of color as your heroine. So the men might switch up their race a little bit, but the women are always going to be a woman of color.
Love
And
it.
that's what I do. I've been writing since 2017. The end of 2017 was when I first released the book. And I've been writing my entire life, but that was when I got the courage to let people read it.
Well, that's the thing I was going to ask you next. Is like, how did you get started as a writer? Was it something that you always wanted to do? Or were you always doing it and just decide, okay, I'm finally going to share my work with the world? How did that come about?
I've written since I can remember as a kid. I had diaries and wouldn't write anything that really happened. I would make up stories in my diaries. And I've
Oh,
always written, I've always loved to read, and it just was a natural progression. And then when I became an adult, I finally got the courage to let other people read some of my writing, and then I was like, forget it. I'm just going to go for it. It's what I want to do. And I did it, and I got a great response from it. So I'm like, okay, I can do this.
and that is a big deal when you get to the point,
Yeah.
because there's that moment when you get to like, okay, maybe especially if you stop writing, you get back to, okay, I'm gonna start writing again, and then there's that moment where you're like, okay, I'm gonna let somebody else read this. That's a huge thing. I still remember like the first time I actually let somebody else read my writing. So uh, it can be terrifying or exhilarating. It was terrifying and exhilarating for me.
Yes.
Yes.
So next, Posey, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you write.
Writing since I came on the scene in 2015. Much like Lisa, I've been writing all my life. My friends used to ask me to tell them stories. Like we would just sit around and they would be engrossed in some fantasy I came up with. And so I started writing them down. And then my best friend said, you should really publish them. And so I kind of, around 18, thought about really publishing. But then I was in college, I just never did it. But in 2014, my husband said, I think you should start writing again. And I was like, okay. So I started writing on my iPhone. And it's just been crazy ever since. It started out because I was watching Scandal and I was like, oh my God, this is a really hot show. And, and it's an interracial couple, kind of like, I was like, oh, So the ideas that start really coming to me. I'm a pantser, so I see things that it's just like a movie, and so I just started writing. It was crazy. My first book was like 100,000 words. But yeah, I write youth grade romance, interracial romance, and romantic suspense.
Wow. The 100,000 words, that is a lot, especially out the gate.
I know. I write big books usually, so that it was a challenge to write shorter books. I've been in some other anthologies where I had to write shorter books, and I always kind of went just a little bit over. I'm like that author that goes over it just a little bit. So.
Let me tell you,
don't get me.
Don't say anything about that. I write category, which is short, and like 50K is like the max. And one of the books that I wrote, I actually wrote it to what did I get to? Like almost 80,000 words, and I had to like cut. It was so like lately I've been writing over, and I think part of that is because I write single title now too again. And so those are much longer. And so like, I don't know. So this book I'm writing now, I am so determined not to write this book double the length and then end up having to cut it back. So I'm working on that right now. So I don't have to write 2 books for the price of 1. So basically that's what that is. So, okay. So now for each of y'all, I'm going to start back up with you, Siera. Tell us a little bit about the premise of your latest release. First of all, tell us. Okay, so you sent me, I think, the picture, of Salt Shaker, but Italian Ice has come out since then, right?
Yeah. Yes, okay. I did. So Salt Shaker was my first book in season 4. So we're in our 4th season, y'all. So 36 books. So Salt Shaker. And this book, I love this book because it is about loss in a way. Because my heroine in this book, Nessa, is 48 and it's her birthday and her date didn't show up. And so, if you've ever been in that situation where something important to you is right on the cusp, and you invite all the people that are important to you and someone doesn't show up, even with all the people in the room, it's hurtful. Yeah. It's hurtful. Yeah. And then my hero, and they meet at a club because she's got all her girls there, y'all, from her alma mater. So she's ready to show off her man. And then he don't show up.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
So she sees my hero, and Roman is 50. And he's a former hitman. I'll just throw that out there. There's a little mafia twist to this. And he's retired, and he's trying to, all the things that he protected for other people, he now wants that for himself. And so he meets Nessa on a day where she should feel really special. And he sees this as the opportunity to give that to her. And that's what Salt Shaker is about, because she was like, okay, my date didn't show up, but there's a nice gentleman here that wants to show me a nice time. And guess what? I'm going to shake what my mama gave me, and I'm going to have a good time. So
I love it.
Yeah. So it's about, kind of letting go of that disappointment and embracing what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
And, they're very direct in their conversation, like most of us are at this age, right? Like we, not saying we hold any, throw any punches, but at the same time, we're very upfront about what we want and need. And you see that reflected in Nessa and Roman's story. Oh, yes, Calla Lily. I agree. Roman is fire.
Yes, we have a lot of agreement here on that as well. Donnell says, yes, he is. And Carolyn also agrees. So,
yes.
And Miss JB says, loving the story. Okay, so
need that read tonight.
Yeah, love that. So, and I love the fact that, you're, I hate to say normalizing, because it shouldn't even be a thing where you have to normalize it, but the characters being older. Mm-hmm. More mature, like 48 and 50. I love that. I'm definitely leaning into that more and more personally. So I love seeing other authors do that as well. And I know readers, I'm hearing so much great feedback from readers about appreciating, hearing these stories. And like when you do get to this point in your life, there is definitely a change in how you deal with stuff. Like you said,
Yes.
about not holding anything back or whatever. It's just like,
Yes.
you like, okay, I don't know. I think I got it to a certain point in my life and I was like, how many years do I have left? Like, I don't have time for this. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time for this. Like, so you just start thinking, like, okay,
Yeah.
did I hit the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, I ain't got
Yeah.
time for this. No, I don't have time for anything I don't want to do. I don't have time for anything that's just
Yeah.
nonsense. I don't have time for it.
Yeah, and both these ladies, like Lisa and Posey, we actually met at IRAE. I talked about that. Like we met there, and so their stories, like how they came into Mandy's world, is like Lisa and I met. We worked on the Lady Guardians project together, and we just like clicked woman to woman. Like
Oh, that's awesome.
we just clicked, and Lisa, she is so, her reading library is so vast, and she creates the most engaging stories. Like her characters and storylines are so unique. And then Posey is downright crazy with what her characters will do. I'm like, what in the world is happening here?
Excellent.
So
We're excited to get into it and find out more about them. I hope y'all have y'all books too to show us. And I love the covers. I do. I agree with my earlier said that. But I absolutely love the covers. I like this whole idea of looking like a magazine and stuff like that. I think that's really cool.
yeah, gossip
So
rag.
Lisa, tell us a little bit about first of all, what is your latest release, and then give us the premise
Okay.
of the story.
Well, I sent you the cover for Fire Roasted, which is
Yep.
this one. This was the first release I had for season 4. And that is all about a sexy fireman named Griffin who falls in love with a girl in high school. Her name is Pilar. And he is crazy about her, but he is one of the poor kids in school, and everybody picks on him except for Pilar. She likes him, and but they never get together in high school. They have their one moment, and it gets interrupted. So they're like, "Oh man." They separate. She goes off to college, and he does what he does in the local town. He stays in the local town, and he becomes a fireman. And then she has an accident, and unfortunately that disfigures her. And she was known as like the beauty queen of the school. Everybody loved her. And he sees her again after 10 years, and it doesn't matter to him. He's still in love with her. He has like rose
Yeah.
colored glasses when it comes to her. And that is their love story. And I'm like a sap. I love romance, and the guy always gets the girl, the underdog always gets the girl. So that is the premise of that story. I
I,
absolutely
I
loved writing it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I hate to refer to it that way, but it almost sounds like a take on Beauty and the Beast, but like with it
Sort
in
of,
reverse.
kind of.
So I love that, and I love second chance stories, especially
Me too.
when you're able to come back later in life and um, get a chance to get it right. So absolutely love that. So what inspired the story, Lisa?
My stories are usually inspired by pictures. I'm very visual. And this picture on the cover, I saw this and I was like, oh my God, I gotta write a story about a fireman. And then I was watching 911, the rescue show that comes on with
Yes,
Angela Bassett. And I
love
was
it.
like,
Love that
oh,
show.
I
It's
could
probably my favorite show
switch
right
this
now.
up and make it something else. So
Yes.
that was my inspiration for that. I don't my stuff comes from wherever, and they start talking to me and I start writing. And that's where
I
it goes.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
So give us you told us a lot about the different characters. So about him having this kind of upbringing where he was he was poor compared to all these other kids, and had to deal with bullying and all that kind of stuff. So how do some of those things, both of them, their past, kind of affect who they are now?
Well, Griffin found his confidence when he became a fireman, and he built up his body, and the classic, "I'm no longer the wimp. I wish you would try me now" type of guy. And then
Yes.
Pilar went from being the beauty queen and the queen bee to being disfigured, and she lost her self-confidence until Griffin helped her see that she was still beautiful.
Yeah.
I
So
love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Look, I haven't even read the story yet, and I'm all like teary and just thinking about it. So I love it. I love it. So Posey, tell us a little bit about what is your latest release, first of all, and then give us a little bit of the premise of the story.
It's Red Moscato. I'm out of paperbacks. But I like to write about grumpy alphas sometimes. So he's a grumpy alpha. Basically, he's banished Eden to the third floor. He owns a sports agency, and he's banished her to the third floor because of what happened to them 17 years ago. They met in the airport on a senior trip. And like for him, I love like Insta stories, Insta love. And so when he saw her, he was just taken by her. So, and also forbidden love. So basically they kind of got together, and then her father said, "Oh, absolutely not. You guys can't be together." And he took drastic measures to pull them apart. I don't want to tell everything that happened, but this probably could have been about 60,000 words. It was so much. I had to give some of the backstory away as a reader magnet. It was so much. But it was very traumatic for Eden. I also like Secret Baby. So there was that trope in there too. So basically, he's just so mean to everyone around him. And everyone's like, "Oh, stay away from Axel," or, "Stay away from Mr. Mavis." And he's run off all the secretaries, the temporary secretaries. And so Eden's boss asked her to come down and help him out. And he's just going off on her. And she's like, you're not gonna do that to me. You're not gonna talk to me like that. So she puts him in his place, but he still has a really bad attitude. But basically, they start to like come together and talk about, why they, are apart. And then, like Siera was talking about, I brought on one of my characters from my Hidden Witness series. I mainly write Mafia. So I brought him in to help out, and it was just well received. And I love writing grumpiness. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, that's basically what the story was about. It's very angsty. I was going through something. It's very heartfelt. You feel so bad for Eden once she does tell Axel what happened, and it's just like, oh my goodness, you can't believe that they were torn apart because of something her father did. So yeah, crazy is really what happens behind the scenes, like Siera said.
Yeah. And Carolyn said he made it possible for Eden to work out all of her daddy issues. To work out.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to read the book to know what that means.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have a few questions. First, I'm going to go back up to this question. Hold on a second. Did I pass it? Oh, yeah. Carol Carson says, Posey, how do you write on an iPhone?
Oh,
my goodness, let me tell you, that was so difficult. I quickly bought a laptop, a little cheap laptop after that, but I was just thumbing it, basically, just
Wow.
And that was 2014 when I started, writing the story. I didn't release it till June 2015, but yeah, it was a struggle. I mean, after a few months, I was like, okay, I have to get a laptop. But surprisingly, I was able to transfer what I wrote on the phone using Word and upload it onto my laptop. So that worked out. It was a lot of editing, but
yeah,
I can imagine.
I'll be up in the middle of the night just thumbing it pretty much.
But like when you have that fire with a story and you're
Yeah.
just so excited about it, and it's just spilling out of you, then then you can endure things like having to thumb it.
Yeah, now I couldn't see doing that. I'm like, how did I even do that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm so far, I guess you could say.
And Carol also asked about the name of the fireman book. That's Fire Roasted
By
by
Loren.
Loren. Oh yeah, and Jennifer answered that question.
Thanks,
as well.
Jen.
Yeah. So that's another question I was going to ask. So I noticed that both of you is like, okay, that's my first book in season 4. So how many, for instance, in season 4, how many authors are there total, and how many books does each author write?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. So I believe there's 6 of us this season. And Posey and Loren, they are returning authors, and returning authors have the option to write 1 or 2 books in the series, but they chose to write 2. So they each have 2. I usually write 2 books, and then Keita Kendrick and Zyla Turner, who's one of the legacy authors, they both came back to the series. So they wrote 1. So we have, what is that, 10 books? And we have Kenya Wright, who is new to the series. She wrote 2. So I think, that's 10 books this season. And you mentioned Italian Ice as well, which is my book that came out last week. And I want to share with you all my reader. She's on the line, our reader. Her name is Danny. And Danny's actually featured in that book. So every season, for the last 2 seasons, I always run a contest where a reader can be a character in one of my books. So Danny is actually a character in Italian Ice, and she absolutely loves her character. She helped me craft it. And then in Jolly Rancher, last year's second book, Christine is a character in the book. So that's always fun to do. Like, it's a fun series. It's really a lot of fun.
I love that. I love that. And I mean, I love getting readers involved in any kind of way. Like, at first it was just kind of like a thing where, okay, I just can't think of a name for whatever. And I went to my reader group to, get their input. And I love doing that. So now anytime it's like something that needs to be named in a town or or whatever, I need to decide between this and that, I love going to the readers and asking them. So that's super cool that you have a contest and a reader actually gets to be a character. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Danny's got a lot of thumbs up.
So do the seasons typically have a set length like 10 books, or does it just depend on how many authors are involved?
So it's lunchtime and there's only 7 days of the week. So no more than 7 authors.
Got it.
But the thing is about lunchtime, and these ladies can speak to it, lunchtime is not just about writing the books. It's about us building a community behind the scenes. Like, we are laying the groundwork for authors that are in the hustle, but authors who are up and coming as well. Some of the authors that have been in the Lunchtime Chronicles, some of them got their first best-selling book, made their first 4 or 5-figure income, made their first #1 across categories. Like, there's a lot of firsts in Lunchtime. So we want to keep the door open. We want this project to be a pathway to the next level in authors' careers. So yeah, that's why we're here. Each one teach one, sow into the next one.
I love it. So all of you can tell me what is next for you. This time I'm gonna start with Posey. What's next for you?
Oh, well, let me see. I just released Mocha Chocolate. That's my latest book in the Lunchtime series. My next book to release is, go figure, Mafia. It's called The Ruthless Mafia Boss. And like Siera was saying, a lot of my characters always cross over. I have a world that I created. So readers love to see all those characters come together. So basically, it's like a spin-off series from Hidden Witness. And that should be coming in January. It's going to be nice and crazy. Murder.
I love it. I'm doing my first spinoff series. I do love that because you're familiar with the world. The readers are familiar with the world. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So yes. Ooh, look at Jennifer says, I love being a Lunchtime Chronicles ambassador this season. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Lunchtime Chronicle Ambassadors, it's a new program this year, and they're basically super fans of the series and Romance Landia in general. And so what happens is they actually help us to spread the word and promote the books. And so every week, and you get this, you know how intense the release cycle can be. So imagine a new book dropping every week for 10 weeks and how high we have to keep the tempo and the energy for
Yes.
every author to get that big explosive bang on release day.
Yeah.
And so the ambassadors help us to do that because, like you said, Reese, you have a busy writing schedule. Everybody has their own life, and it's been 2 really crazy years.
Yes.
And so our readers, they have truly partnered with us in making this series a success. And we love them. We absolutely love them. And they show us love. They share the books, they review the books. Lisa reached out to you and said, you know what? Interview my sisters, interview my Lunchtime sisters. And we so appreciate that. And that's what the ambassadors, that's what they do. They look for opportunities to get Lunchtime Chronicles in front of the right people. And they just share great stories. And we love it. We love it.
That's fantastic. That's phenomenal.
I'll
So,
let them.
okay. So while you're talking, tell us what's next for you.
Who, me? Woo.
Yes.
Okay. So I have another group project, and El Loren are in it. We're in this one together. It's called Savage Bloodline, and it is a mafia romance collection featuring 20 different authors, and we're all writing in the DeLuca mafia world. So it's a crime family, and they are savage in life and in love. And that book drops March 15th, 2022. And it's already on pre-order. And we're actually going for USA Today. So it's available on all platforms, and we need all the support we can get. So thank you so much for asking about that.
Yes. That is exciting. Yes. I'm excited for y'all, seeing everything y'all doing. And then just like I said, the enthusiasm that you have, I knew it. You can see it in the readers and stuff that are commenting in the chats as well. So that's fantastic. So Lisa, tell us what's next for you. Siera might have told us.
No,
She
Lisa got a lot
did.
more going on. She got a
Oh
lot
no,
more
but
going
you
on.
did.
Don't
Well,
even fall for it.
I'm gonna take a note from Posey's book and plug my little watermelon sugar, which was my last contribution to the Chronicles, and that one was just released 2-3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
I love that story. It's fun. It's sexy. It's hot. It's a whole lot different from Fire Roasted. And it's very, very sexy. So from the first chapter, you will
Oh yeah.
appreciate the main characters, and it's a sports theme. So I love that. 'Cause I'm a former basketball player, so I love all the sports.
Yes,
And
yes.
then Sierra told you what's next for me is my Mafia series box set going for USA Today, and she forgot to tell you about our Patreon that
Yes.
Oh yes, let's
she
hear it.
came up with.
Well, that means Lisa can tell you about it.
Yes, let's hear it. Let's hear
So
it.
our Savage Bloodline has a new Patreon, and you can become a member. Just pay a few dollars every month, and that allows you to get behind the scenes articles, and we have some really special deleted scenes coming, and a lot of special gifts for you guys. And if you want to go, it's patreon.com/savage bloodline.
Yeah.
Join us.
Okay, so that's the thing I was going to ask. So for anybody who's not really familiar with Patreon or whatever, a lot of authors and creators have what they call Patreons, and so not what they call it, it's called Patreon. And so with a Patreon, It's like a private group, whatever kind of that you can be a part of, and you can. There's usually your tiers. Like, what's your
Yes.
bottom tier?
So we actually have 5 tiers in our Patreon membership. The lowest starts at $4 a month and it goes up to $20 a month. And with our Patreon membership, readers get, like Lisa said, access to deleted scenes. They get Christmas card from the Savages. They get invited to our special Valentine's Day party that's coming up in 2022. They get to participate in our live writing Zoom sessions with the authors as we're brainstorming. They get to participate in polls and surveys about the characters. So just even more interaction as we build out the Savage Bloodline world. And it helps us because going for USA Today, it takes a lot of support from
Promo.
each author and
Yep.
promo and a lot of dollars. And so
Yep.
it's another way for readers to support us as we, again, look for ways to catapult interracial romance to the forefront.
Okay, so it's not the Lunchtime Chronicles. It's
Nope.
the Savage Bloodline.
It's Savage
Yeah.
Bloodline. It's our next project, our next group project together.
Yeah, yeah. So just again, for several, especially indie authors, have Patreons where you definitely can get all this behind the scenes stuff, and depending on what tier you're in, it'll depend on like what you get access to.
Yes.
So that is very cool. I am glad to see y'all doing that. So
Thank you.
for sure. So okay, so did everybody tell us what is next for them? I think everybody did. I think I asked all three of y'all, right? Okay, so perfect. So now tell everybody. First of all, JB asked when is it the Savage Bloodlines? You're asking about when is that coming out?
So it comes out, the book actually releases on March 15th, 2022, but it's actually on pre-order right now for 99 cents on all the platforms. And so if you buy on Apple or Kobo or Barnes and Noble, go for it. Go for it. That's where we really need the sales. And we'll always take Amazon sales too. But yes.
Yes. And in response to the comment, the watermelon sugar was hot. I'm like, it better be given what the song is about.
Exactly.
Which Harry Styles finally admitted what it was about. We already knew that. So, all right. Love it. I'm just looking through, make sure that we caught everybody. Okay, so I think we got everybody's questions and stuff. So for you already gave us the Patreon for the Savage Bloodlines, but tell everybody how they can connect with you. So I'm gonna before you tell us, before I have y'all tell us, I will also tell you that I have everybody's websites in the description of the show, as well as the link to buy the books. And I also have a link to the overall Lunchtime Chronicles where you can find them all 35 or 36 of the books, since one just came out today. But all right, Posey, can you tell us where people can connect with you?
On Facebook, Posey Parks, or in my Facebook group, Pandora's Box. First, you mentioned our websites, poseyparks.com. I'm on Twitter, but not really. But I'm on TikTok too, so I'm trying.
What is your social media place or choice? Like if there's one place that readers were like, I'm gonna connect with her, where would that be for you?
Snapchat. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm on Snapchat a whole lot. Like
it's Snapchat.
I'm obsessed with Snapchat. Like seriously, I was while we were coming on, I just did a Snapchat and posted it as we were on.
Like today?
I didn't know. Every day. She loves Snapchat.
Literally addicted. But probably Facebook. I'm on Facebook a lot too. So usually on my Facebook page, Posey Parks is good.
Okay. Thank you. And Lisa, tell us where, first of all, tell readers where they can connect with you, and then tell us what your prime social media real estate is.
Well, don't go to Snapchat because Posey, and I love her for this. She showed me how to do it, but my personality does not allow me to continue it.
Yes. I was on there for about 3 minutes, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I did maybe 3 of them, and I was like, okay, I can't. But I am mostly on Facebook or Instagram. Twitter will not you. I'll repost stuff, but you won't see me posting every day. And I am mostly, yeah, definitely on Facebook. I love Pinterest as well, so because I build my worlds on Pinterest.
Yeah, I love doing that.
Nice.
Did you
Me
tell us
too.
the handles for those different?
Okay, most everything Instagram and Pinterest is at Rebirth of Lisa, and for Facebook is Loren Writer. So,
Awesome.
and then of course you said you have my website posted, so that's good.
Yes, yes. And I'm assuming everybody that from your website, people can find all your other social media and
Yes.
stuff. Perfect. Okay, and so now we'll end with you, Siera. Tell people where they can connect with you.
So, so I am on Facebook generally every day, and I have a reader group called Siera London Starlets that I invite you to join because they get different content than on my Siera London kind of general page. And that's Siera with one R because there's one with
Yes,
two R's.
yes.
That's me too, but that's it. That's a backup. So Siera with one R.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yes, and y'all, I'm trying to get started on TikTok. So please follow at Messy Mandy 411 on TikTok. And Siera London is like on TikTok. And I promise I am going to do better in 2022 with TikTok. That's on my goal sheet that I started today for December to be better on TikTok. But Mandy is active on TikTok. And she know a lot of men, so she got a lot of hot pictures and videos on her page. She know more than my husband will allow me to come in contact with. So.
I love it. Thank you so much for to all of you for being here. Lisa, Posey, Siera, thank you for being with us today and chatting with us about Lunchtime Chronicles and giving us the tea about the Savage Bloodlines. We appreciate that so much. So again, make sure that you check out in the description the websites for all these ladies so you can connect with them online, as well as the links to buy their books. Those delicious books that we just talked about today with the food themes. So, and make sure you follow their, I'm assuming y'all all have newsletters too. Connect with their newsletters. That's the thing with authors and stuff. The collapse of so many different publishers and stuff along the way has taught us that if you have an author that you like and you enjoy their writing, make sure you connect with them like on their in their newsletters, because that's something we own.
Yes.
And we, because we saw when Facebook faded for that day, people about lost their minds. Yep. So, but your newsletter is your real estate. And so make sure you follow and connect with the newsletter or join the newsletter of authors you like. So thank y'all all for being here. Thank you so much to all of the viewers for being here, for being for participating and having so many great comments and questions. We appreciate you so much. My next guest will be on December the 15th, Belle Calhoun. And I will be talking about diversifying communities in small town romance. So make sure if you enjoyed the show today, be sure to hit subscribe and hit like and to share the show so that other people can read it too. And if you are a Bourbon Brothers reader, make sure you pre-order either at Love Sweet Arrow or The Rip Bodice, the next book, so you can get your reader goodies. And for people who already order boxes, thank you so much. You're already going to get your stuff in the box. So thank y'all all for being here with me tonight. And thank you all. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. Love you, ambassadors and readers. Bye, romance.